Hi guys, welcome back to Cheers. I am so excited for today's episode. We have two incredible, powerful women, and that is Tish and Brandi Cyrus. Never in my wildest dreams did I think I'd be able to sit down and talk to them today, but I did, and honestly, I loved the conversation. I feel like I learned so much, and hopefully you guys will get to know them a little bit more. These two host the podcast Sorry We're Cyrus, and they have built careers, brands, and are part of a family that we all just cannot get enough of, that you guys are probably very familiar with. Tish is not just the ultimate mom. She's a powerhouse producer, talent manager, and podcast host who's been shaping artists and making moves behind the scenes for years. Brandi's a DJ, TV personality, and podcast host who always brings the best pop culture takes. We're diving into all things family, motherhood, and podcasting, and what it's like to juggle a million things at once, how their mommy-daughter dynamic has evolved over the years, and of course, some out-of-the-box questions. So I'm so excited to welcome Tish and Brandi Cyrus today. Hi, welcome to Cheers. I'm your host, Avery Woods. Well, I feel like you guys are sisters, but you're a mother-daughter duo, and I love it.
I'd be rich if I had $1 for every time I've heard that in my life.
Well, we were just talking off camera that your genetics carry so hard because all your kids look so alike.
They really do.
Mine don't, so you lucked out in that department.
Yeah.
Like, I look like my kids aren't even siblings, but you guys all look so alike. It's crazy.
I feel like when Molly and Noah were younger, they didn't look as much like me as they do now.
Yeah, that's
like
true.
you kind of always looked like me.
I know, but what's weird is Noah's baby pictures look just like your baby pictures.
Identical.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Literally identical. And Molly's don't at all.
Nope.
And really yours don't either.
No.
But then as the girls got older, they kind of just morphed into me. I don't know.
Yeah, and everyone has their own kind of like style and niche, but
Totally.
facial features, like that big blue, beautiful eyes.
I love it.
Stevie would actually sit there and look like your guys' sibling too.
That's so
My
funny.
daughter.
Oh.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, huge blue eyes. Like she looks very similar to you guys. I'll show you pictures later.
Is your husband blonde hair, blue eyed?
When he was a kid, he was a towhead, bleach blonde hair till he was like 6.
Wow.
And now he has dark curly hair, but he has big blue eyes. And so my daughter looks just like him. Not a lick like me, but it's fine.
Oh.
She's sassy. She's fun.
So she got your
cute.
personality.
Yeah. Oh my. Yeah. She's actually
Yeah,
terrifying.
good luck with that.
The other.
Once they hit 11, I used to say 12, but I feel like it's earlier these
Okay.
days.
Oh, with social media, my kids won't have social media till they're adults.
It's insane. I mean,
It's crazy.
I was just saying the other day, I'm so glad I grew up without social media, but I just know she always says the boys were my favorite growing up.
Oh, yeah.
I have
That's
2
true.
boys,
Me too.
but like they're just easier because once girls are hormonal, I mean, you know,
Oh yeah.
like we are crazy.
No, we're psycho. I
Yeah.
still am.
Yeah.
It's okay.
So
Well, thank you guys so much for being here. I really appreciate it. I know you guys have a podcast, which I love, and it's amazing. Tell me about it and how it got started.
you want to take that one?
Sure. Our podcast is called Sorry We're Cyrus. We had a little bit of a name change and a rebrand.
Mhm.
We started the pod during COVID.
Yeah.
It's really kind of the first time either one of us has had so much free time.
Yeah.
And it was something we kind of joked about and talked about for a long time. And we did a television show years ago on Bravo called Cyrus versus Cyrus.
Wait, I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Literally so long ago. And it was very fun, but it was so much work,
Mhm.
like long hours. And we just shot everything so quickly. And ever since then, we always talked about doing something else together. And then the idea of a podcast seemed great, but we just didn't have time. So during COVID, we had all the time in the world.
Yeah.
So we started it as just audio.
Mm-hmm.
But kind of like at the same time we were starting is when everyone started going over to video.
Totally.
And all of a sudden it was all about, like video podcasting and YouTube channels and everything. So we did the audio for a bit and took a hiatus, and we're just trying to think about ways to make it bigger and how to compete in the space and everything. And we just decided to commit to being a video podcast. I fly out here as much as I can, and we shoot at Tish's house. Tish had a little bit. Tish had a little bit.
I kind of want to call my mom by her first name. It sounds so cool.
It's so weird.
Tish had a journey of growth this past year.
Oh, yeah.
And decided to quit smoking weed. So we rebranded from Sorry We're Stoned to Sorry We're Cyrus, but the podcast has really stayed the same.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you about that because I am a very anxious person.
Yes.
But so I don't know if you guys know anything about me, but I was a pediatric ICU nurse. And my husband was a sergeant for 12 years for a police department. We now work for ourselves. My husband was 35 and smoked weed for the first time. It was amazing.
I was like 42 or 44
Yeah.
when I smoked.
It helps me so much with sleep, but it makes me so calm when I'm extremely anxious.
Really?
I did
And
that for you for a long time.
I heard it's the opposite for you now.
So when I was smoking, it literally did that for me. Like I was never anxious when I smoked ever. And then I for some reason, I just started having really bad anxiety in like April of last year.
When you were high or all the time?
No, most.
well, she was high all the time.
I was high. I was high most of the
You know?
time, but I felt like it was fine for my anxiety, and then until it wasn't.
Yeah.
And now I think now I just have it in my head that it's going to make me more anxious than I already am sometimes. And so I've not been smoking, but I miss it a lot.
Yeah, I cut back so much on alcohol. I'll drink like maybe a couple times a month, but I don't feel like I need to because I discovered weed.
Yes.
And it's not like I'm high all the time, but I feel like I have bad insomnia. And so a gummy helps me so much. Or if we're going out or at an event or out to dinner or something, I would so much rather smoke a joint with my husband or whoever I'm with than to get drunk because especially when you get older, I'm like, the headache's not worth it.
No.
Oh, it takes me days to recover from that
Yes. Do you still smoke?
I never really did.
Okay.
It's never, I've dabbled, I've done it.
Yeah.
It's just never been my thing.
Yeah.
And I didn't really even drink alcohol until like my late 20s is when I probably had my first drink. My parents didn't drink. No one in my family drank. I wasn't around it growing up. So it's not just something I didn't do.
Yeah.
But with the territory being a DJ comes being in environments where sometimes it's hard to enjoy it if you're not having a drink or two, you know? So I definitely I would rather have a drink, but I hate the way it makes me feel afterwards. So actually at the top of last year, I decided to cut out almost all liquor. And I took all the tequila off my rider and I switched to just having a glass of champagne before a set every night.
I love that.
For whatever reason, I don't get as bad of hangovers with champagne. I know that's totally opposite for most people.
Yeah.
But I feel pretty good the next day and it makes me feel like I'm partaking without getting drunk and feeling shitty afterwards.
Well, champagne gives you like a nice little buzz.
Yes, it does.
Well, and I feel like since, it's become legalized in most places and not federally, but it's so much easier to get access to it that it's not as taboo because even back in the day when Miley, there was a photo or whatever of her bong when she was a kid, whatever. Like every child does, but of course she's in the limelight.
Totally.
It's this huge thing. If that happened now, no one would care because there's a completely different view on what weed does.
I know.
And it's legal a lot of places now too.
Oh, yeah.
Most all places.
Even
right?
being a nurse, I'm like, for adult nursing, that was a medication we could give to chemo patients. They had an appetite.
Totally.
Like it really is amazing.
And you feel like it helps your anxiety.
Yes.
Well, it did
so
yours for
much.
so long. Why are you shocked?
But
I don't know.
I will say, my husband will get in his head, and if he tells me, he's like, when I start to feel like I'm getting high, if I push an anxious thought out of my mind, it's gone. But if I fixate on it, I am so anxious. And he's like, I have to go to sleep. So
Interesting.
I don't know, maybe you should try it.
I know. I've been wanting
Call
to.
me up when you do, because I
Yes.
want to be part of your blunt rotation.
Yes.
We could call Snoop or Martha.
I was the
Like, that'd be
best
fun.
stoner ever.
She was a great stoner.
Yeah.
Call me up.
Okay, I'll let
Call
you
me up.
know. You and Chelsea.
I know.
Chelsea's like, let me know, girl. I went,
Oh, she's such a queen. I'm obsessed with her. So, with your podcast, you guys are obviously interviewing a lot of people. Who has surprised you? What have you learned that surprised you?
I think Chelsea surprised me a lot.
Yeah, I think, yeah. I knew she was going to be sick as hell.
I mean, not that I didn't think that she was going to be sick or whatever. I just had her on this
pedestal.
yeah, she was just so down to earth and such a girl's girl, and just, I mean, it was like we were just hanging out with our friend.
Yeah,
That's
she
what
is very relatable for
She's-
someone that's not lived a very relatable
Oh my gosh,
life,
she's
you know?
so relatable, and I had read her book before it came out, a lot of the book before she came on, and it was so incredible. And so her, and then coming up soon on the show, we had Gavin Rossdale from Bush.
Yeah.
And I just found him to be from what I've seen of him on stage to who he was sitting on our couch and just chatting. Did you not think he was totally not what you would think.
Oh, I mean, I just assumed he was this like rock star, like live fast, like die young, like you know, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Like that's what you think when you think you're having a rock star come over. But he was just so intelligent, so self-aware.
It was crazy.
Like he was fabulous.
Yeah,
Like,
he was.
He was very soft spoken.
That was the thing.
And very thoughtful with his word. Like he was just lovely.
Yeah, he really was.
The total opposite of what he is on stage.
Complete
I heard that's
opposite.
normal though.
Yeah.
I mean, you would know better than me because you guys know people in the industry. But I always hear from people that they just turn a switch on and they have to be a different person on stage.
Yeah, I think that's true. So yeah, I shouldn't have been so surprised by that, but I was. I think it was the very soft spokenness. It was just so different from what I had expected.
Yeah, and with his British accent, he's very proper.
Very, yes.
You know, it's just funny.
It is funny.
He was great though.
Yeah, I was at the Grammys when Miley won.
You were.
And I will never forget the things that she said on stage because she just didn't give a fuck. And I was like, it's so refreshing. It's so refreshing to see it because she doesn't care.
No, she doesn't.
But, you know, the switch of people's opinion about her was insane to me.
Insane.
Because I mean, I've loved her since the beginning, and I'm not like a cookie cutter, follow the rules type girl.
Mm-hmm.
So I've always loved her. But I think when people saw how truly talented she is and honest and just doesn't give a fuck, I love that people are finally understanding that, even though it shouldn't have taken so long.
It's so, sure. I mean, yeah, we were saying, you know, like, I just feel like you were saying about the bong, you know, and how people were all up in arms about that and now nobody would care.
Yeah.
I feel like that was a lot of the time with Miley. Like people were very upset at things that she did, and now
well, we even like for example, like Sabrina Carpenter's tour, I went to see it in Nashville. She's amazing. It's like the best show. But it's like very like sexy and and like scandalous in ways, and it's things that like Miley would have been crucified for doing. Like the finger,
the finger,
and the pole, like at the whatever show,
which
and
really truly was just to hold on to so she didn't fall off the ice cream cart. I mean, like, it's now it's like, oh well, you know, Sabrina's doing the Eiffel Tower sex position, and it's, you know, everyone loves it and it's entertaining. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I love it. I love Sabrina, but it's hard for me as a sister to be like, well, if my sister had done that, she would have been crucified.
You know what's funny is I actually just put it together too that Sabrina was also a Disney kid.
Yeah,
she had a Disney Channel show, so it's so interesting how that's changed. But what people don't get, or they do, they just choose not to look at it in the correct way, is that Miley was doing what every normal teenage girl is doing.
Totally.
There's everything that she was doing was so normal, actually dimmed down from what most of us were doing.
Totally.
It just unfortunately was in front of millions of people.
Absolutely.
So of course she's going to get eaten alive.
Yep.
Speaking of motherhood, kids, you have a lot of them.
Yes.
We have that in common. I love that. But I kind of want to pick your brain about having kids in the limelight. It's obviously different now with social media because it's very either loved or hated, like taboo. Even if I share family photos, people want me to put emojis over my kids' faces, and I just want to show them, and you know. But what's your thought on that? I feel like it's shifted a lot. Obviously, Miley's a celebrity, and it's different with social media influencers, but when I was a kid, that was my dream. I wanted to sing and act, and I did plays, and my mom said, I will not have a famous kid. I don't want to ruin your childhood. That's what she said, you know?
Yeah.
But I think she just maybe expected the worst.
Yes.
How was it having kids that were in the industry, especially at such a young age, and what's your thoughts on it now?
You know what? Molly needed an outlet. And she was always, from the time she was very little, like she was singing and dancing and trapping people in rooms so she could perform for them. And like, it was just in her, every ounce. And so it was it wasn't like kind of intentional almost for Molly to go into the business. She actually came out to LA with a friend who her family came out every year for pilot season.
Okay.
And so she just came out here with one of our friends, a family friend.
And you guys were in Nashville.
Yeah, we were in Nashville, and it kind of just happened.
Yeah.
Miley went into their agency. They loved her. And all of a sudden, my friend called and said, since she's here, do you care if she auditions? And she just fell in love with it.
Yeah.
And a year later, she had Hannah Montana.
Wow.
So
that's crazy.
And because, like, you know, my ex-husband was already in the business, and it wasn't foreign to my children because they had grown up with a famous dad. They dealt with it.
You saw the behind the scenes and everything growing up.
Yeah, and traveled with him and would go out on stage with him. And so it was kind of just a natural progression for my kids. I think because people ask me all the time, like they'll meet Brandi or Noah or Molly, and, you know, they're always like, your kids are so awesome and grounded and down to earth and this and like, why? And I've thought about it, and it's kind of, and I think it wasn't, they went from being just kind of normal and not understanding what this world looked like. It was just kind of natural to them.
They were used to it from the beginning.
They were so used to it.
Yeah, which I think is good and healthy, because I feel like, especially when they come from nothing to all of a sudden this huge influx of attention and money, it can get really bad really fast.
Totally.
But I try to balance, you know, with my kids. I don't ever like make them do ads or any of those things that people want you to do on social media, because a lot of brands will say, hey, like when I first started social media, I would do this funny voiceover with my daughter Stevie, where I would like vlog her day when my son was at preschool, and she's like 10 months old, and she was such a chunk and so funny. And so I would do these funny voiceovers, and they just went so viral. And I took them off the internet now because people are so weird about kids.
They are.
And I turned down so much money in ads because companies would say, we want to work with you, but we want you to do it in a Stevie voiceover. I'm like, I'm not going to make my kid make me money. You know what I mean? Yeah. It was such a weird thing. And I wish people saw the behind the scenes, because I got so judged for sharing the most proud thing in my life, which is my kids. And they didn't realize that I had no intention of ever using my kids for money or attention. Yeah. It was just, I was just wanting to share them and brag about them because I'm their mom.
Yeah, I do think a lot of kids, like in the industry, I mean, once again, like, you know, a lot of, you know, I don't want to look down on other people in the way that they've done this with their children and in the business. But I think a lot of parents do kind of like move to LA with their child, and then all of a sudden they've quit their jobs because they have to be on set, or they manage their kids. I've managed Molly since the day she started. The one thing about it is like, I didn't need that money to support our entire family. And a lot of families that move out here that then quit their jobs and become the manager, and like, it's a whole thing where then, you know, your children's kind of supporting you and your family to be here. And it's I think it's really tough, you know, and it would be so hard to be in that position because, you know, if your kid's under the age of, I guess, 18, then, you know, you have to be on set with them. And, but I saw a lot of, you know, people that, you know, neither parent worked because they were just managing their kid, and then the other kids were homeschooled. And I think that's when it gets messy. Tricky. Yeah.
What's your thoughts about influencers showing their kids on social media?
You know, I think probably because I'm so used to it, it doesn't bother me.
Yeah. I think everyone, you do you and I'll do me. We love to say that all the time. Like, if you want to do it, awesome, and if you don't, then don't. But I hate that everybody judges everybody for their decision.
We came from absolutely nothing. I mean, I worked in the ICU full time during the pandemic. I made $36 an hour. Wow. And that was a pediatric ICU, like kids actively passing away. And so
I have a friend that does that.
Yeah. And that's when I was doing my daughter's voiceovers, was during the pandemic. Like, that brought me so much joy to do that on, you know, on my days off when I would go to work and see only the negative and everything.
Yeah.
But I didn't need to make those videos in order to make money because we had our careers.
Right.
But, you know, like the OG mommy influencers, they've always shared their kids, like no issue at all. Now it's, you know, becoming this huge thing. But I think they have to realize who's doing it right and who's doing it for the wrong reasons.
Absolutely.
You know? So for you, because obviously you grew up in that industry, do you think obviously having your mom who's incredible and so grounded that helped, or was it just you were just so used to the environment around you that you all kind of just band together and that was your life?
I mean, it was both for sure. I think like she's right. Like it's all we knew. Like my dad catapulted to fame when I was 5 years old. Literally, like I have no memories before him being famous. So it is all I knew. So of course that plays into it. But I think what they did so great was even though our lives weren't normal, they kept it as normal as possible.
Totally.
Yeah.
I went to public school until I graduated high school.
Amazing.
When I turned 15, she said, I'll get you a $6,000 car, but you have to get a job to pay for the gas. You know, like, and I mean, I really did like have a pretty normal childhood considering it wasn't normal, you know?
Yeah.
Of course, like you sprinkle in like there were fans stalking us at the gate and like my photo was in magazines sometimes, like sprinkle in those crazy things. But overall, like I feel like, and I'm the oldest, so I feel like I had the most normal probably out of everybody because, you know, for Noah and Brazen, like Miley then got famous before they were old enough to be able to like really rationalize all that. And I was almost an adult by the time Miley did Hannah Montana.
Sure.
So I do feel like I'm fortunate in that I probably got the most years of normalcy. But I really do think like if you guys had treated us, like coddled us and done those things, I just don't think we would have turned out as good.
Yeah. And when you guys moved to LA with Miley, you went to college, right?
For a year.
For a year. Okay. Where'd you go to school?
Worst year of my life. I'm serious.
Wait, tell me.
And I thrived in high school.
Okay.
Like I made great grades. I did all the extracurriculars. I did all the things.
College wasn't for you.
College was not it.
Where
like,
did you go?
I went to Middle Tennessee State University and I picked that because it was an hour from home.
Yeah.
And this was before they were moving to LA.
Sure.
This was before Hannah Montana was even on the table. So I had committed and I was going and then they left. And I remember you telling me like, just finish the year and then you can decide what to do. But it was kind of like, well, you've committed to finish the year. But I think for me, like everybody goes to college to party and we don't have to go to class if we don't want to. And everybody was drinking and partying and things. And I just wasn't that girl. Like in school, like I was committed and I was serious about it. And I feel like that's kind of what I wanted out of school.
Sure.
And then nobody took it seriously where I went. And I don't know, I just hated it. I had a really hard time making friends. And I also had ridden horses my whole life up until then and had this community, you know, at the barn where I kept my horses and my horse show girls and my friends. And then you go to college and you just don't have any of that, you know, and then not only that, but they all moved across the country. So it was like I really just felt very isolated in school, even though I went to like a massive university. There were so many people around, but I just felt really alone.
When you left college, what was your next step after that?
Oh my God, I like got in the car and drove straight to LA.
Really?
Yes.
You're like, I need my mom.
I drove straight to LA and I lived with my brother Trace in a 1-bedroom apartment for a couple of years. Trace, he had maybe just started Metro Station or like was in the beginning of that. And we were both just so young. Still.
Let's rock.
Yeah.
Totally.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
I love that song.
Shake, shake.
Oh my God. I love
Yeah. And it was like, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I just knew I did not want to be at school. And there was no path like at college that I knew I wanted to take, you know, like where everyone picks a major and there's so much pressure to do that year one. I was like, I don't know what I want to do.
And you're paying a shit ton of money for
I'm like, all I know is I've ridden horses my whole life and I love it. But like other than that, I don't know. And so I just kind of moved out to LA, like just because they were there and didn't really have any direction otherwise.
And now you're back in Nashville.
Back in Nash.
You like it there?
I love it.
I've never been.
Listen, it's really truly like it's not Nashville that I love so much. I think it's my community there and the roots that I have there. To be honest, like I dream of living out west somewhere like Colorado or something someday. But for now, like the lifestyle of Nashville is wonderful. I can have my horses in the backyard, but the airport's 45 minutes away. And as much as I travel, like that's key. So I can't move to Colorado and drive 4 hours to the airport yet. But in Nashville, I can kind of have the best of both worlds. No pun intended. And so it's great for now. I could never see myself moving back here.
And what are you up to now? I know you're opening for Kenny Chesney at the Sphere, right?
The Sphere.
Yay, that's so exciting.
It's crazy. It honestly does not feel real. Like I kept thinking once it was announced, it would start like feeling real, and it just is not. I'm terrified. But it's going to be like probably the coolest thing I've ever done.
What a
so
sick
far.
venue too. It's crazy in there. Like when
I'm so excited.
It doesn't even look real.
Yeah.
Even the outside. Have you seen the outside?
I have. Yeah, I've seen the outside.
It's insane.
I know. It looks massive.
It's the biggest venue I've ever been in.
That's so crazy.
It's huge.
Wow.
Good for you.
Yeah,
that's so fun.
It's crazy. Like I kind of knew, like towards the end of last year, like right before the holidays, is when my manager kind of called me and was like, "I think this is gonna happen. Like I wouldn't tell you if I didn't really think so, because I wouldn't want to get you excited. But and then like after the new year, we signed everything, and I was like, holy shit, I'm gonna play the Sphere, and that is insane.
How many shows are you doing?
It's 15 shows.
Damn.
It starts May 22nd and runs, I think, for 4 or 5 weeks, all the way through June. And I also have a residency at the Wynn, which I've had. This will be my second year at the Wynn.
Okay.
So somehow I have not one but 2 Vegas residencies. And
how are you like keeping up with
the
podcast?
It's hard and all the things, but at least with the Wynn, like it was like a show a month, sometimes 2. So I just popped in, played a show, and went home, which I loved. But this time, like, I have to go live in Vegas for 4 or 5 weeks. So
see, that's because I know Adele talked about how she finished her residency and then she's like, "Yeah, I'm done performing for a while because it's kind of crazy."
Yeah.
But it's kind of cool to at least plant roots, so you're not maybe traveling as much.
I think so. Like the fly, like I like to travel to an extent, but the flying is brutal. Like it's exhausting.
Yeah.
And Nashville's a 4-hour flight, so I just don't. I definitely thought in my head, like, I'd love to go home every week, but I just don't think it's in my best interest. I think I need to stay put and have some days to chill.
Yeah.
I'm going to take my dog. I'm going to take my boyfriend, and I'm just going to move into Vegas for a little while.
It'll be fun. You'll have fun.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
Do you still ride horses?
Yep, sure do.
How often do you do that?
When I'm home, I ride like 5-6 days a week.
Wow.
Yeah, I've got a whole little mini farm at home, but I've got my 4 retired horses at home. Actually 2 are Noah's that I take care of. You're welcome, Noe. And we've got some like rescue donkeys and mini horses that Miley's had for a long time.
Amazing.
Yeah, a pig. We've got a whole crew. And then I have my 2 show horses that live like at a training facility about 10 minutes away, and those are the 2 that I ride consistently.
That's so cool. That's like my mom's dream. She's like, "Can you please buy property big enough for horses?" I said,
I know.
"Do you think I'm from San Luis Obispo, California? Do you think I have the capacity to raise horses, Mom?" I'm like,
You got to pick one, kids or horses. I'm telling you, you can't do both.
Then I'm gonna.
I don't know how I would ever do both
because there's no way. I got too much going on.
Yeah.
All right, Tish, you've had a very unique role balancing motherhood and management. Are you still managing?
I am.
How do you do all your kids?
No, just Miley.
Damn.
Yeah.
How do you balance that? Because I have 2 managers, and I feel like I create 80-hour work weeks for them.
You know what? She used to. She definitely used to. And I co-manage her along with Jonathan Daniel at Crush.
Okay.
And they do so much of the leg work. And Miley now, where when she was younger, like I was involved in every aspect, every detail,
She went everywhere with her.
She did not go anywhere without me. So now that, she's older and she's in her 30s, like she is so involved in a lot of that, in every aspect of it. And so it's, taken a lot of that pressure off of me.
Sure.
But I love it.
Was that just a natural role you kind of filled because she was obviously a minor when she started?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, it's obviously a lot to balance for you, but I feel like that's such a good way to go because you need a team behind you that you're close with, and who better than your mom?
Well, yes. And she always says that is like, it's so great because I know that my mom is only making decisions for one reason, and that's what's best for me. And so, I think doesn't work for everyone. I don't think
Mixing business and family.
Yes. Yeah. I think it can be really tough. It hasn't been for Molly and I. It's just worked.
I feel like all of your kids admire you so much. Like they truly love you.
Yeah.
What do you attribute that to? Do you think it's a balance between being a cool mom and a strict mom? Because I feel it's always like you don't want to be your friend,
I was both.
Mm-hmm.
I was pretty strict.
Yep.
I was really strict on Molly. And,
the girls.
Yeah. I got more strict on Brazen as he got older. But I also was always there for them as their friend and had a very open relationship, is that you can speak to me about anything and there's nothing you can tell me that will make me ever love you any less.
You know what else I think really sets it apart too is I feel like and maybe this like was an older way of thinking. Maybe we just hit the cusp of it. But I feel like back in the day, parents like hid things from their kids. Like problems in the marriage, we're hiding it from the kids. Problems at work, we're not going to tell the kids, whatever. But I feel like with you, I mean, we were older when, you know, you and dad split up and everything. But I just feel like you being so open about it. And I feel like all the girls, especially, like we were just there with you through all of it. Yeah. And instead of icing us out and like wanting to shield us from it, I don't know. I think like letting us in just brought us closer.
I think that we've all just had such an open relationship is that I can talk to them about things. They can talk to me about anything at all. And it's just, I don't know, it's just been really, it's been great.
I really admire that because I feel like I struggled a lot with my relationship with my mom because I felt very judged. And so I was doing a lot of things like having sex or going to parties young, like 15, 16, 17 years old. And she had no idea, you know, and like, thank God nothing bad happened or, you know, I could have gotten pregnant. I don't know. A lot of things could have happened because I was so scared to talk to her because I knew I was going to be reprimanded.
Yes.
Whereas for our kids, like David and I always say, we're going to write up a contract for our kids that says, if you're at a party and you're getting fucked up on alcohol, whatever you're doing, you call us wherever you are, no matter what time of the day it is, we will be there to pick you up and you will not get in trouble when you're calling us instead of getting in the back of someone's car, getting behind the wheel when you're drunk. Because it's just so scary when they start going out and experimenting.
Totally.
You know?
Yeah. No, I'm thoroughly believe in, you know, exactly that is allowing the kids to talk to you and not be afraid.
Yeah. And not judging them.
And not judging them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so for you, Brandi, what's something about your mom's parenting style that stood out to you once you started having adult friendships and saw how other people were raised?
I think probably a little bit of what we just said. Like, I think some parents, I like friends of mine I've seen anyway, like it's almost, and you see this in a lot of things that it never plays right, is like when people make it like you're fearful. Like if anytime you use fear as like a motivation to not do something, I just feel like that backfires. Yeah. And I don't know, I feel like sometimes when you're too strict, like you just have such a good balance, right?
Yeah, I do.
Because when you're too strict, then the kids are afraid.
Or they rebel.
To tell you, or they rebel.
In my opinion.
And like, I can't be honest, I'm going to get in trouble.
Yes.
And I just don't think that's the way to go. I think, obviously, you've got to have rules, and that rules can be good. But I think if you make them afraid to tell you something, or afraid to be honest, or afraid to call you, like, that's when bad shit probably happens. And I don't think, there was never a time where I felt afraid to, like, reach out if I needed help, or like I didn't do anything bad, but if I had, I feel like I would have called.
She actually
I was really good. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
See, for the oldest, I feel like that's very rare.
Really, because they were the strictest with me though.
Okay.
You know, and I think because I didn't have any older siblings doing bad things to learn from.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I feel like when you're younger and the older sibling is like sneaking out or drinking and you catch them drink, like then you learn that. But I had no one to learn from, so I was just perfect.
She really was a great kid.
Yeah, my sister and I were opposite. I have a sister that's 5 years older than me, and she was the bad kid. She was the rebel. Now she's a chief in the Navy, and she's insane. Like, yeah, she's been in for 14 years. She's incredible. And imagine being like so hot in uniform and in charge of a whole ship of shipmates. Like, that's her job.
I love
she's
that.
So badass. But it's so funny because she was like the huge partier, lost a scholarship for college, won a class. And being 5 years younger, I remember being like 14 and holding her hair back when she was sneaking in from parties and stuff. Wow. And she's like, if you ever tell mom and dad, I'll kill you. But I was like the goody two shoes, never broke rules that they knew of.
Yeah.
Because I saw what she was doing and I learned from that. And I feel like a lot of, like, you're a rare gem of an older child, because I do feel like it's the oldest kid kind of test the waters, and then the younger kids are like, oh yeah, I shouldn't.
But that was definitely Trace and Brazen.
Yeah, for sure.
Like Brazen was like, Mom, you don't understand how bad it was sharing
the room with Trace.
Yeah. Well, boys and girls, man, I have one of each, and I'm like, they couldn't be more different.
Oh, completely different. Yeah.
Yeah.
How far apart in age are they?
2.5 years.
Okay.
Yeah. My son he's so sweet and kind-hearted. He's just constantly bouncing off the walls. Boys just have so much energy. And my daughter's sitting in her vanity at 3. She's like putting on her headband to like do her makeup. I'm like, You literally have a better makeup collection than I did. So your guys' family's obviously been the spotlight for years and so much attention from media and the public. How do you stay grounded? I mean, you talked about how you raise your kids grounded, but what about for yourself and as a whole family?
I think just the kind of, when Billy Ray was, so huge in the 90s, like we lived on a 500-acre farm in Tennessee.
Wow.
And there were, kind of nobody around. The kids kind of just had each other. And we just lived a very completely and totally normal life. Like Brandi said, like I was just, even during those years at the height of his fame, I was just driving my kids to,
in the Toyota,
and then the Lexus, like just driving them to every, whether it was cheerleading or guitar lessons, or like we just kept it very real. Like we really never ever kind of lived
the
that
Hollywood
kind
life.
of life.
Well,
Like,
I think because we were in Nashville really helped.
Totally.
I think for me, like having my home to go home to and to like recharge and unwind and just recenter myself really just makes the world of difference for me.
It's a
like,
safe space.
It is. Like
Yeah.
I lived out here for 5 years and it's like you never switch off because it's so fast paced. There's always somewhere to be. There's always an event to go to. There's always someone to get coffee with. There's always a meeting to take. There's always an audition you can go do. And there's no off switch. There's no pause. There's no like recharge.
It's also hard to say no.
Oh, it's
when it's
impossible.
right in your face.
Yeah, and
you
if
know?
you say no, someone else is going to say yes, and someone else is going to
Yes.
get that role, or someone else is going to get that record deal, and it's just a lot. And I didn't realize it until I went back to Nashville that I hadn't taken a deep breath for 5 years, and now it's so important to me. Like I'm down to come out here for a week, I'm down to go on the road and do all the things, but I have to be able to go home to a place that like centers me and recharges me, and I think that that's so important for anyone to have. And if you do have to live somewhere like this, I think creating a space at home that it centers you and that you can like just be yourself and unwind is so important. Like where she lives is very much that for her.
Yeah.
It's where I stay when I'm here, and her house is like her sanctuary. And it
that.
is like she's got this great backyard and it's very chill and quiet and
Very
I
not
think
LA.
just making a place for yourself, at home to just take a deep breath and recenter, I think is so important.
Yeah. And you, Tish, you've talked a lot about your mental health, and that's something that I've talked about a lot. And I didn't experience mental health issues till probably the pandemic. So obviously I was working as a nurse and the things that we saw were crazy, but also social media. When I got big on social media, I was like, holy shit, these are a lot of opinions from people I don't know. And it's really sad how they come for you. What are things that you've struggled with, and what made you want to talk about it publicly?
You know what? I've been anxious like since my 20s, but I went on Lexapro, been on it for a very long time, and then all of a sudden it kind of stopped working, and I started getting really bad anxiety again. Yeah. And I think just in anything that I do, and I've always like told my kids, like I'm a big believer in giving back. And I just like we talk about like now with influencers and everything you see on social media is so perfect, and everybody thinks your life is so, wonderful and you have no issues, and it's, and I just want to keep it real.
Yeah.
And, help anyone that I can, that deals with mental health issues feel less alone, because it's a very lonely place to be. And, it's tough. And so I think for me, like in most aspects of my life, giving back is just so important.
Besides being medicated, which I love medication for mental health. I tell my friends all the time, or therapy.
Yeah.
What are some things that you do to help when your mental health isn't the best?
I try to do all the things, but the thing that I actually have made myself do, and sometimes I don't feel like doing, is walking. Like
now,
I get up.
Is that why you look so good after having so many kids?
It's not actually.
I don't.
She just
I wish
blessed in
that
those
was the
genes.
secret. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do have. I did get good genes from like I have been able to kind of eat what I want and not exercise but I'm going to start exercising again.
Good.
But I think walking like anytime I'm in my head just to get out of the house and get some sunlight in my eyes and just kind of walking and being outside really does help so much. I've tried the breathing and the meditation. That doesn't help me.
I'm too antsy.
Me
I
too.
can't sit there for that long.
Me either. That makes me even more anxious.
Yeah, I can barely sit through a nail appointment, let alone deep breathing.
Absolutely.
Nail appointments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hate nail appointments.
They're the
too.
worst.
Yeah. My girl's like, can you keep your hands still? I'm like, I'm sorry. I just want to leave.
Yeah.
Like, love you so much, but I gotta go.
I'm still like that. Like, it's definitely better than it was last year. But, like I still deal with it and, kind of just learn to keep it moving.
Yeah.
You know?
I stopped reading my social media comments. That helped me a lot. Holy shit.
You pretty much weren't on social media there for a while.
I wasn't on social
wouldn't
media all
be
last year.
Yeah.
If I had the option and didn't support my family, I would delete every social media app off
Oh
my
my
phone
God. I always say if I
now.
won the lottery, the first thing I would do is delete all the social media.
One of my friends said to me the other day, they said, you're not understanding that it is not a normal thing to have millions and millions of people's opinions that have never met you before that are saying the nastiest things about you. It's just not normal.
It's terrible.
But you get so used to it because it's your job. And I kind of going back to what you said before is in my favorite thing to say is you're damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Totally.
I
Because
said that earlier.
yeah, I would read comments and almost take it like constructive criticism. And then I would change and then they'd be mad about something else. And I'm like, well, why am I even changing what I'm doing?
I mean, you can't please everybody. It's
Never.
impossible.
That's why, like, no matter what, I will not respond. I do not, like, the things that have been said about our family and Miley and me, like, just whatever. I don't even like putting energy into it.
And
But
most of it's a lie anyways.
I just refuse to ever speak on any of it.
Yep.
I don't on comments. I just ignore or try to like get them block you or
Oh,
whatever. I love the block. Like I'm just like you want to no. I just delete, block, and don't comment on anything. I just like don't let that like. It's just
It's
not worth it.
Yeah.
What is a unique or weird family tradition you guys do?
We're not a tradition type
No, we
family.
aren't.
But what I said last time was like the one thing we all do when we are together is we play cards.
Yeah,
It's
we
so
do.
dorky.
See, no, we're board game people. We love
Oh,
board games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love cards.
This one loves Uno.
Yeah.
Big Uno gal.
Oh, my
Love
son
Uno.
just learned Uno.
Yeah,
He's
Molly loves
6.
Uno too.
Yes, she does.
that's
So
right.
we do like a Christmas and stuff. Like
Yeah.
we'll sit around and play cards for hours.
Yeah,
Fun.
we do.
Have you played the game Tell Me Without Telling Me?
No.
Okay, we were just on our spring break family trip and we were like, we need a card game because we were on the beach and it was raining every single day. So we were stuck
no.
inside. I know. It was okay. It was cozy. But we went and got a card game and it's called Tell Me Without Telling Me. And it's you're in teams and you roll a dice and you pull a card and it's either like a person, place, or thing. And depending on what the dice says, you either have to act it out for your team to guess without saying
Okay.
anything, use one syllable words, or freestyle where you can describe it for them to guess it without saying the word. It is so
Ooh.
much fun.
It sounds fun.
But there's like a raunchy pack and it's really
Oh,
funny.
fun.
Like, you can have fun with it. It's not, you can make it family friendly, but it's also really
What's
fun.
the other game that it can have a raunchy factor that Molly
Oh, is it
Cards of Humanity?
Cards
Hu-
Against Humanity?
We have the bigger, blacker box.
Oh,
the
yep.
big one with all the expansion
Yep.
packs.
We've got
I'm
a
obsessed with
bunch
it.
of
We've
those.
got a
They
bunch
are
of
good.
those. They are
Yeah.
so good.
I made my parents play that with me, and my parents. Well, my dad's. I love you, Mom, but my dad's way cooler than my mom. And my mom's very like conservative. Like, I can't believe you'd say that. I'm like, you need to lighten up. What's one story from your personal lives you've never shared on the podcast, but it would be a hit if you did? I guess you guys
No.
are kind of open, right?
We really are. We were podcasting when I told about how I walked to that glass door, weren't we?
Wait, what?
Or was that on the podcast?
What happened? You walked through a glass?
Yeah,
door?
I walked through a glass door. It's probably the most embarrassing thing that's ever
What's
happened to me.
this?
It was a while ago.
Like
probably,
years?
yeah, probably like 6 years ago.
Oh,
Let me hear the story. I want to hear it.
I was essentially just like talking to somebody and trying to get away, and just whipped around really quick, being like, gotta go,
Gotta go.
whatever, and just did not see a glass.
And you
door.
shattered it?
No, but I ran
Oh.
smack into it.
Was your like foundation on it?
Everybody was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Oh my god, I'm fine." Like I'm the person that like if I fall and eat shit, I'm so embarrassed.
Oh.
Like I'm so I don't want
yeah.
anyone to help me. Like I could be bleeding from my skull and I'm fine. Like I hate it. I
You,
was
like,
even
couldn't get
embarrassed
away
when I
quicker.
just put my arm open on the boat, even though like there was nothing to be embarrassed about, but I was so embarrassed.
What happened on the
Oh
boat?
my god! I just put my arm open in case
like bad.
Oh my god.
Oh no,
Yeah.
it was like the bone was showing.
It wasn't
was
good.
not okay.
I know.
Mm-hmm.
That was bad.
Are you clumsy?
I kind of have become more clumsy as
But
I've
you
gotten
ride
older.
horses.
I know.
That's crazy to me.
I know, but I kind of am clumsy. It's odd.
That is so weird.
I know it is. It is weird.
But yeah, that was not a good day.
Is
And
anyone
also-
athletic in the family? I mean, horse riding is very athletic because
It
that takes
is.
a lot of strength.
Yeah.
But like ball sports were not my thing.
No.
Like the hand-eye coordination is not it.
No.
I feel like Trace was probably the most
Yeah, he
athletic.
was.
He played baseball and basketball. He was so good at baseball.
Yeah, he was.
Okay.
But he got hurt. Somebody hit him in the eye with a baseball, and he just
was really
never
bad.
was the same.
Oh
Yeah.
no.
Yeah, like he should have been blind. I think the doctor said.
They were like, he is very lucky. It did not make him lose his
Yeah.
eyesight.
I did fall off stage once. I don't
you
think I've
did.
ever said this in anything. I was opening for G-Eazy. This was like in my early
yeah.
DJ days, and
Yeah.
I thought it was so fucking cool that I was opening for G-Eazy.
I mean, he was like a big.
yeah, he
thing.
was huge.
Yeah.
then, and
You've
I
never
loved
told me
his
this.
music, and I was opening for him, and then it was like very like. Yeah, you know how it is. It's like when the star's ready, it's time to go. And
Yeah.
so they were rushing me, like I was trying to finish a song and they were trying to rush me off, and it was just all very rushed, and it was dark, and I took one step the wrong way and just fell off the stage
Oh, no.
in front of Gerald.
Oh no.
Yeah, it wasn't good. My leg was bloody, like it was terrible. I think AJ was with me.
I love that Tish is like, when the fuck did this happen?
This was pre-COVID, probably right before COVID.
You did not tell me the story.
Was my finest moment. And the room was packed. Packed room.
No.
Oh, yeah.
See, nowadays that would just go viral on social media. And
Oh, totally.
Everyone would love it.
But I was so embarrassed.
That's so funny.
Yeah, that would not be good.
Yeah,
No,
that
it wasn't
hurt.
great.
Remember who was the guy that fell off stage at the Oscars?
At the Oscars?
Yes.
This year?
Yes.
No, it's been a couple years.
I know
He-
exactly
he
what
did-
you're talking
he-
about.
Did he play Elton in something?
I don't remember who. I just remember that happened, and then the Jennifer Lawrence fall. Shakira just
Oh,
fell on the
yeah.
red carpet. Did you see that?
No.
It broke my heart. She had this like gorgeous, I think it was blue ball gown. She like stepped to the side and kind of stumbled, but then she tripped on her train and was
Ooh.
like out.
Oh no!
And I see that's my
That would be
biggest fear.
so bad.
That I would be like, it was so great knowing you guys.
Yeah.
I'm never gonna be.
Literally,
I'm
I'm never showing my face again.
Yeah, there's no
Yeah,
way.
that's terrifying.
And I just saw like wait, so who else did I see fall?
I mean, I see a lot of people. Post Malone, like I think it was the stage, like fell out from under him once, and he fell pretty hard, and
Oh, yeah.
it was pretty gnarly.
Oh no, I remember it was Sky Ferreira fell through the stage on a
Oh.
Miley show. And, like,
Oh,
literally did her whole show, like kept on going, and literally like they had to take her out on an ambulance. Like she had like 82 stitches down her leg.
No
It's,
way.
you all can look it up. It was freaking insane.
it's badass that she finished the
She
set.
did.
though.
Honestly, it is.
Yeah,
I just saw your tattoo. How many do you have?
I think 7.
You
Is
guys
the
all
number.
have such good tattoos.
I have
I'm
the least of
obsessed
the
with
whole
tattoos.
family.
Oh,
How
Miley's
crazy is that?
tattoos are.
I'm obsessed.
Where was that? Where was she just at the Grammys with that low
Yes,
back?
yes.
Holy shit! I literally screenshot that because I was like, I'm gonna show my tattoo artist some of that
Yeah.
placement. Just
I
her
love it.
placement is
It's
great.
good.
She has
Yeah.
good placements everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where else do you got?
Mine are all
tattoos?
pretty small. I have the most
Little
of them are
hand
on my
ones.
hands. I do have one across my ribs.
Okay.
It's that was probably the most painful, like in between the ribs,
Yeah, I
like
have
that.
one right there,
But
yeah.
literally, like I mean, I barely have anything compared to this one.
Wait, what?
Her entire back is covered.
No way.
Yeah.
What do you have?
My whole back are angel wings. The whole back.
Like from the top to the bottom. It's
I
crazy.
didn't know that.
Yeah.
Are there pictures online?
Oh, I'm sure.
Probably.
We'll
And I
find
have
one and put it
massive
on here.
roses
Yeah,
on
her
each of my
hips are
hips.
done.
That's so hot of you.
Yeah, she's got some on her feet and her ankles.
Yeah. I'm tatted.
You are.
pretty good,
I
yeah.
need like a quick, how can I look like you when I'm your age? Like
Well, let me tell you, she eats like shit. She doesn't exercise, but you know what she does do?
Tell me.
She sleeps 10 hours a night.
Yeah.
You know what? That's the key. Good rest.
I think more than that is like I never ever drank alcohol.
Really?
Yeah.
You know what? Alcohol, now that I've gotten older, obviously, but it affects me differently. But seeing it from a nurse perspective, when I would take care of adults, oh my God, the amount of people that would die from liver failure. Yeah.
Wow.
Because alcohol will
it.
destroy. Same with, Scott's going to hate me for this because he's the biggest vapor I've ever met, which he left it in Arizona, so hopefully he stops. But no, vaping is so bad. One of my best friends is still an adult ICU nurse, and she said flu season was the worst it's ever been, but they've never had so many young people in their 30s be intubated on a ventilator, and they were all vaping. They were all vape users. So that and alcohol have like keep me away.
Yeah.
I'll just smoke my joints.
Yeah.
You know,
But vaping, because I just see everybody does it.
everyone has that little jewel.
Thankfully, like all of us missed that.
Yeah.
I guess we were all just old enough to miss it.
Yeah.
It's a newer like college thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like 20, 21-year-olds, I feel like are all vaping.
Yeah.
Okay, to wrap it up, I'm like scaring everyone with their health now. All right, let's wrap it up. Each one of you, if you could sit down with your younger self for an unfiltered heart-to-heart conversation, what's one piece of advice you would give yourself?
Probably to just be authentically who you are.
Love.
Yeah.
I would probably say stop planning your life because it's going to turn out real different and you're going to be glad.
Me, like go to nursing school. I'm sitting here with Cyrus.
I love a
family
plan and I love to be prepared, and I feel like my whole life I've like prepared for things that just didn't happen, but I ended up in a much better place.
I love that.
Yeah.
Now tell me what you guys have going on and where people can find you.
She's at the Sphere.
I'm at the Sphere. I'm at the Win. Yeah. The Sphere. Honestly, tickets have sold a lot. Like there's not a lot of tickets left. So I'm not just saying that. If you guys want to come see Kenny at the Sphere, it starts May 22nd, Memorial Day weekend, also my birthday weekend.
I feel like I need to go.
You should definitely come.
We love Vegas.
Yeah,
my husband's a member of
fun.
MGM and we have so much fun. He plays craps.
There you go.
So
Vegas is great.
Yeah.
Good food, good shows. So 3 shows a week, all through June, and then I'll be at the Win on and off all year, and that's the majority of my year. And then obviously we podcast. And
Sorry, we're Cyrus.
Cyrus is on all year on our YouTube channel. We've got some really cool guests coming up that we're really excited about.
You guys have had so many even recently.
Yeah,
we have.
Amazing people.
Yeah, we shot for a week in Nashville because she and her husband were there shooting a movie, and that was fun for me because I got to a lot of my Nashville like country artist friends that want to come on but aren't out here were able to be on the podcast, and it was just really fun and nice to hear their stories and stuff too. So exciting things in line for that.
And now I'm on TikTok.
Oh,
what? Wait, hold on.
I just got on TikTok.
I'm like, where's my phone? Let's go.
She is dedicated. She's like, we're shooting Monday, and I'm like, what are you shooting? She's like, my TikTok. I'm like,
period.
I was thinking she was shooting some like pilot or something to pitch for her production company.
Yeah, that's my real job.
TikTok.
No, my production company, but I never have been on TikTok. I haven't looked at TikTok, and then all of a sudden, my producer, Kelsey, she's like, girl, you are going to blow up if you get on TikTok. And I'm like, what? And I was like, So I started watching it and became addicted. And I'm like, oh, yeah, let's do this.
Yeah.
This is fun.
That's what started my social media career because TikTok is so easy to grow on. If you're consistent.
Really?
Yeah. I gained 1 million followers in just 1 week in like February of 2023. And I was like,
what were you doing on there?
Dude, I was working as a nurse and I was posting, my daughter's voiceovers, I did that, but I did a lot of like nursing stuff, a lot of vlogs. I did how I did my hair as a nurse during the pandemic, just random shit. It's fun. We're going to do a TikTok for Cheers. Great. It's going to be fun. So I can't wait to
She's
see
a pro.
Yeah, I'm going to give you a whole script to the lip sync, No, I'm just kidding.
I'm not that great.
Well, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. It was so fun getting to know you. And cheers, guys.
Cheers.